शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. लोकवीर्यं महापूज्यं सर्वरक्षाकरं विभुं पार्वतीहृदयानन्दं शास्तारं प्रणमाम्यहं। स्वामिये शरणमय्यप्पा। वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നിറജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ Krishna Hare Jaya Krishna Hare. Everyone, good morning. Okay, so we'll do the review of 74 half and 75 half. Let me see who I had today. Deepa, can you do one half? And Ravi, you can do one half. Either 74 or 75, whichever one you guys want.
I can do 74.
Okay.
गुप्चाम् अब्जविलोचनां परिपुनर्दृष्ट्वाङ्गराखेदया दत्ते साधु किलाङ्गरागमरताः तस्या महान्तं हृदि सिद्धस्तां रुजुतामदप्रदयितुं गात्रे विदस्या स्फुटं गृह्णन् मञ्जुकरेण तामुदनयः धावज्जगत्सुन्दरीम् तावन्निश्चितवैभवास्तव विभो नाथ्यन्त्य पापा जनाः यत्किञ्चित् तददे स्म शक्त्यनुगुणं ताम्बूलं यात्या यत्किञ्चित् तरदे स्म शक्त्यनुगुणं ताम्बूलमाल्यादिकं गृह्णानः कुसुमादिकिञ्चन तदा मार्गे निबत्ताञ्जलिः नादिष्टं पदः यदोत्य विपुलामार्तिं व्रजामि प्रभो येषामीति विमुक्तयापि भगवन् आलेपदात्रयादया दूरात् कादरया निरीक्षितकरिः त्वं प्राविशो गोपुरम् आकोशानुमितद्वदागममहाहर्षोल्लसद्देवकी वशोज प्रकलद्भयोरसमिषात् त्वत्कीर्तिरन्तर्गता.
The third line, Ravi, third line, la Harsho Lalat. We change the Harsho Lasad to Lalat. Okay.
Oh, Maha Harsho Lasat.
No, Harsho Lalat.
Oh,
The Sa
Lalat.
becomes a
Oh.
La. That's it. Okay. So just change it to a La.
Okay, got it. Okay. Avishto Nagari Mahotsavavadim Godandashalam Rajan Madhuryena Tejasanu Purushaihi Durena Tattandaraha Sragbir Architam Varadanur Mamidi Vadat Puraha Pragranna Samaro Bayah Kilas Samakrakshir Abankshiravi Swakhamsa Shabanotsavasya Puradaf Praramba Duryobamachhabat Vamsa Mahadvanistava Vibho Devana Romanchayat Kamsasyabicha Vebadus Thadudidah Kodanda Gandadvayi Chandapyahad Rakshi Purusharavaihi Utkulito Bhutvayam शिष्टैर्दुष्टजनैष दृष्टमहिमा प्रीत्या च भीत्या तदः सम्पश्यन् पुरः सम्पदं प्रविचरन् छायं गतो वाडिकाम् श्रीदाम्ना सहराधिका विरहजं खेदं वदन् प्रस्वपन् आनन्दन्नवतार्य कार्यगणनात् वादेश संरक्ष माम् श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः. I'm sorry, I butchered the tune a little bit.
No. That's
Sorry.
okay.
कंसवदः प्रातसन्त्रस्तभोजक्षितिपतिवचसा प्रस्तुते मल्यतूर्ये सङ्गे राज्ञा च मञ्चान् अभिययुषि गते नन्दगोपेऽपि हर्म्यम् कंसे सौधादिरूढे त्वमपि सह बलः सानुगश्चारुवेशो रङ्गद्वारं गतो भूः कुपितकुवलया पीडनागावलीडम् पापिष्टापेहि मार्गात् द्रुतमिति वचसा निष्ठुरक्रुद्धबुद्धेः अम्बष्टस्य प्रणोदात् अधिकजवजुषा हस्तिना गृह्यमाणः केलीमुक्तोत गोपीकुचकलशचिरस्पर्धिनं कुम्भमस्य व्याहत्या लीलयास्तवं चरणभुवि पुनरनिर्गतो वल्गुहासी.
Deepa, the fourth line, first word, Vyahatyaliyathastvam. Fourth line, first word.
Fourth line, first two.
Can you just repeat that once? You were saying something different.
व्याहत्यालीयतास्त्वं चरणभुवि पुनरनिर्गतो वल्गुहासी.
Yeah.
हस्तप्राप्योऽप्यगम्यो झटिति मुनिजनस्येव धावन् गजेन्द्रं क्रीडन्नापात्य भूमौ पुनरभिपततः तस्य दन्तं सजीवम् मूलादुन्मूल्य तन्मूलगमहितमहामौक्तिकान्यात्ममित्रे प्रादस्त्वं हारमेभिः ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति.
Two corrections. Second line len punarabhipatataha. You're saying, right? That visarga takes a is sound. Punarabhipatatas. Okay, the joining letter. And then the fourth line, haramebihi. That visarga takes a ir sound. So haramebhir lalita virachitam.
Okay. हारमेभिर् ललितविरचितं राधिकायै दिशेति. गृह्णानं दन्तमंसे युतमतः लीना रङ्गमङ्गाविशन्तं त्वां मङ्गल्याङ्गभङ्गीरभसहृतमनो लोचनावीक्ष्य लोकाः हंहो धन्यो हि नन्दो नहि पशुपालाङ्गनाः नो यशोदा नो धन्येक्षणा स्मस्त्रिजगति वयमेवेति सर्वे सशंशुं शंशुः. Okay, Rajesh ji, and the fifth one I have not done.
No, I think we didn't do the fifth. I think I was wrong. We only did 4.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't done the 5th one actually. I just realized it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. All right, we'll start from 5. See who I had today. Bhuvana, you can be a student, and Vidya Medal, you can be a student. Stanza 5. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshuttam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanai Stavada Vedito Bhuhu Drishtva Tattvam Tadedam Pratamam Upagate Punyakale Janaughaha Purnananda Vipapa Sarasama Bijaguhu Tvatkritane Smritani. So we started seeing how in the last class in 75, where Krishna and they enter into the place where the bow festival is happening, or where the wrestling match, everything is a dais, everything is going to be happening. Kamsa is there, Nanda Gopa, Yashoda, Devaki, a whole bunch of people are all there. And, first initially the Kuvalaya Pida is blocking. Then Krishna then gets rid of Kuvalaya Pida. Then they both enter, and then they Chanura, Mallavira has not started. Yeah, it's not started yet. So they enter into that. And then all these people, right? So they all saying, Hamho Dhanyo Hi Nando. Say all these people are saying Nandagopa is blessed, Yashoda is blessed, all these people are blessed, right? And then they say, no, all of us are blessed because we're getting an opportunity to see this, right? So that's the conclusion they all come to. Now, here in this, just a little bit of that is continuing here, right? Saying that none of these people here know that you are Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat. So you are the whole Brahman who was incarnated into a form, into a shape. Because Brahman doesn't have a form or a shape or anything. You cannot put it into a box. But with Krishna, we can clearly define the bodily features, right? So you take that Brahman and give it a shape, and you are that shape who has actually come there. And none of these people know that. And none of these people have any knowledge about all of these things. Because when you were dealing with the Gopas, because Gopas, what did they think? They thought you were a cowherd. They think you're only useful for grazing cows and calves. That's how the Gopas looked at you. They never looked at you as God. And similarly, the people here are just looking at you like we saw in the previous one. Each one was looking at Krishna in a different way. Some of them thought he's like a macho man. He's able to get rid of all these people. He's a very strong. The girls who were there all had Cupid. They all were falling in love with him. Then some of them are looking at him as a son. Kamsa was looking at him in a different way. So each one is looking at you in a different way, but nobody knew who you are. But they all knew one thing, saying that you are some extension of Bhagavan. You cannot be a normal boy. That they got the pulse of it, right? Saying that you must be some expansion of that Bhagavan, who you are blessed person who is there. We say child prodigy, however, right? They were thinking of you in that way, because how else can you have gotten rid of Putana, Trinavarta, Sakatasura, this Kuvalaya, Pida, and all of these things? If you have done all this, you cannot be a normal human person. You are definitely a blessed. And finally, he says the reason, like even in stanza 74 Dashakam, Bhattacharya said that I was not blessed to come and stand in Madura and then see you, right? So he is saying for these people, Punya Kale Janogaha, their good times have started. Why is the good time started? Because they finally are able to come and get a darshan of you, right? So they all are there. They're just soaking in that bliss, looking at Krishna there in person and enjoying all the things that he's doing there. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat. So the double na that is there, one of that na becomes a it, Sakshat, comma. Next word starts with the ni. Niravadhi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham. Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi. Visarga, comma. Next to that na ir goes away. Na khalu bahu janais tavadavedito bhuhu. That word is together, cannot break it. Purnam brahmaiva sakshat niravadi paramananda sandra prakasham gopeshu tvam vyalasihi na khalu bahu janais tavadavedito bhuhu.
Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanais Tavada Vedido Bhuhu. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanais Tavada Vedido Bhuhu.
Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanais Tavada Vedito Bhuhu. Purnam Brahmaiva Sakshat Niravadhi Paramananda Sandra Prakasham Gopeshu Tvam Vyalasihi Nakhalu Bahujanais Tavada Vedito Bhuhu.
Drishtvat Tvam tadedam, comma. Pratamam upagate punyakale janoghaha, comma. Purnananda vipapaha, add a is there, vipapas sarasam, breaking at that ma, sarasam abhijaguhu. That is goes away, visarga, comma. Sarasam abhijaguhu, comma. Tvat kritani smritani. Smritani is remembering. So they remembered all the deeds that you have done in the past.
Sorry, Rajesh ji. Sorry, நீங்க என்ன சொன்னீங்க அபிஜகஹு அதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த விசர்க போய்டுமா?
அந்த இஸ் போய்டும். அந்த இஸ்க்கு பதிலா there is visarga அபிஜகுஹு.
அதுக்கப்புறம் அதுக்கு காமா அதுக்கப்புறம்
த்வத்கிருதானி ஸ்மிருதானி. Yeah.
Okay.
Drishtva tatvam tadedam pratamam upagate punyakale janaughaha purnananda vipapa sarasam abhijaguhu tvatkritane smritani.
Drishtva Tatvam Tadedam Umupagate, sir.
Pratamam upagate.
Oh, Pratamam Upagate. Pratamam Upagate Punya Kale Janaugaha Purnananda Vipapas Sarasamabhijaguhu Tvatkritani Smritani Drishtva Tvam Tadedam Pratamam Upagate Punya Kale Janaugaha Purnananda
Is there any break in the first line?
Sorry, I think my connection broke very briefly. It's saying it's unstable. I don't know why. Sorry, Vidya, go ahead.
Is there any break in the first line?
After tadedam.
Okay. Drishtva tatvam tadedam pratamam upagate punyakale janaughaha purnananda vipapas sarasamam abhijaguhu त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि दृष्ट्वाथ त्वां तदेदं प्रथमम् उपगते पुण्यकाले जनौघाः पूर्णानन्दविपापाः सरसमम् अभिजगुः त्वत्कृतानि स्मृतानि.
Stanza 6. Chanuro mallavirastadanu nrupagira mushtiko mushtishaali tvam ramam chabhipede jhata jhatiti mito mushtipatati ruksham utpata patana karshana vibidharanan yasatam tatra chitram mrityoh prageva malla prabhuragamadayam bhurisho bandhamokshan. So this is going to be, like I said last time, right? This is going to flow like a movie, So like when Krishna comes there, he's done all this. He broke the bow the previous day. Kamsa has been thinking about him. He defeated Kuvalaya Pida. So Kamsa is now getting very annoyed about this, right? And he says he had multiple things. He was going to send Akrura to bring. He had sent multiple people, Keshi, right? Nothing worked. So his last option was this Chanura and Mallavira, two of them, Chanura and Mushtika, two Mallaviras, means wrestlers. So he had them on standby, right? So he then tells those people, saying that you both go. Okay, his ordering Kamsa is telling Chanura and Mushtika that you both go wrestle Krishna and Balarama, and then you essentially kill them, right? That's the order to them. So Chanura, they all come to that central dais, right? So this is a big arena, right, where Kamsa is sitting on the top. The central place is where the wrestling is going to happen between wrestlers, but now Krishna and Balarama have gotten pulled into it. So Chanura goes there and tells that, you both are very strong boys, because the king Kamsa himself has said that I need to fight with you. But I also know that you all are cowherd boys. He's also insulting him at the same time, right? Saying you all are cowherd boys. I'm sure you all wrestle back in your village also with other boys. So come, let's just do, because this is what the king wants, right? So then Krishna then responds saying that, we are all forest dwellers. We all live in the forest. We don't even know the rules of wrestling. We don't know how to wrestle or any of those things. Plus, we are small boys, right? How can small boys like us wrestle with big wrestlers like you? It's not fair, So that's what Krishna says. But then for that Chanura, this conversation, right? Chanura says that's you can't trick me into it. I saw what you did with Kuvalaya Pida. Right, I saw what you did with the elephant. I know your history, right? I know what all you guys have done, what you did to the bow, how you fought with all those people there. So he says we have to fight, right? And there's no rules here, right? It's just fight to death essentially, right? So we're just going to fight in the middle. So with this, Krishna then pairs off with Chanura, and Balarama pairs with Mushtika. Mushtika is the name of the other wrestler. So and they both start fighting. Like in wrestling match, you know how it is, right? You have to hold each other's hand, you embrace, you kick each other. So here it says that when you attach yourself to something, right? You hug something. By hugging, I don't mean like physically hugging. You like something, you embrace anything, that causes bondage, right? Because you're getting attached to it, right? That is the opposite of liberation. So what do they say for liberation? You have to let things go, right? For liberation. But here, Chanura, as he's embracing Krishna, he's getting into the bondage with Bhagavan. So he's so blessed because he's getting an opportunity to hug Bhagavan, right? So every time he's embracing Krishna, he's getting liberated. And every time he's moving away from Krishna in the wrestling match, he's actually committing more sins, right? So with that, he's just saying, so with that, the wrestling is going on, and they both are so blessed because no matter what sins all of them have done, they all have taken birth. And I think that's why you have to understand this context of being good, being bad, or whatever, right? And why they are dying and all of that stuff is they all have taken birth for a specific reason, was to get liberated. Now, how they approach it as part of that game is each of them is approaching it in a different way, right? Here, because even if you have done all the sages who have done so many good karmas, they still haven't reached that point or threshold where they can come into contact with Bhagavan. Chanura and Mushtika have reached some threshold, because of which they're coming in physical contact with Bhagavan, right? So they're able to, so that's what is happening. So they both are in the wrestling match. Wrestling match has started between these four people right now, and everybody is observing that.
Rajesh, Chanuramalla and வேற ஏதோ ஸ்லோகத்திலையும் இருக்கும்ல இந்த reference to Chanuramalla, I forgot. It just rings a bell. I can ஞாபகம், it's okay.
But that's what it is. Chanura and Mushtika are the two names, and Mallavira like Veeram is powerful, strong. Mallayuddham is wrestling.
Oh,
So Mallavira are like powerful wrestlers. That's what they are. Chanuro Mallaviras Tadanu Nripagira, comma, Mushtiko Mushtishali, comma, Twam Ramam Chabhipede, comma, Jhata Jhatiti Mitho Mushti Patati Ruksham. Chanuro Mallavirastadanu Nripagira Mushtiko Muštishali Twam Ramam Chabhipede Jhata Jhatiti Mito Mushtipatati Ruksham.
चाणूरो मल्लवीरस्तदनु नृपगिरा मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामञ्जापिपेदे जडजटि तिमितो मुष्टिपातातिरूक्षम् चाणूरो मल्लवीरस्तदनु नृपगिरा मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामञ्चापिपेदे जडजडितिमिथो मुष्टिपातातिरूक्षम्.
Rajesh, one question. The Ramanna, Ramamma.
See, and it's Ramam, Im, but sometimes when the letter coming after that is Cha or Ka and things like that, this normally is also pronounced as in some cases. So that's why I didn't correct it. So either is okay. You can say Ramam also, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
चाणूरो मल्लवीरस्तदनु नृपगिरा मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामञ्चाभिपेदे झटझटिति मिथो मुष्टिपातातिरूक्षम् चाणूरो मल्लवीरस्तदनु नृपगिरा मुष्टिको मुष्टिशाली त्वां रामञ्चाभिपेदे झटझटिति मिथो मुष्टिपातातिरूक्षम्.
The next word is a long word. Utpata patana karshana. Up to that is one word, cannot break it. Vividha ranan yasatam. That's a long word. Vividha ranan yasatam tatra chitram. Then a comma. So the whole line is continuous, comma at the end. Mrityoho, put a F to join. Mrityof prageva malla prabhuragamadayam, comma. Bhurisho bandha mokshan. Utpata patana karshana bibidharanan yasatam tatra chitram mrityof prageva malla prabhuragamadayam bhurisho bandha mokshan.
उत्पाता पातनाकर्षण विविधरणान् यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्योः प्रागेव मल्ल प्रभुरगमक्तदयं भूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान्.
Bhuvana, third line le, and the yasatam is not a separate word, okay? That ranani asatam, it's two different words combined as a sandhi. So you break wherever you want to for breath purposes, but that word itself is a full word. Okay, ranan yasatam is one word. It's one word.
Okay. उत्पाता पातनाकर्षण विविध रणान्यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्योः प्रागेव मल्ल प्रभुरगमदयं भूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान्.
उत्पाता पातनाकर्षण विविधरणान्यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्योः प्रागेव मल्ल प्रभुरगमदयं भूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान्. उत्पाता पातनाकर्षण विविधरणान्यासतां तत्र चित्रं मृत्योः प्रागेव मल्ल प्रभुरगमदयं भूरिशो बन्धमोक्षान्.
That's a 7. Hadhik kashtam kumarau sulalita vapushau mallavirau kathorau nadrakshyamu brajamastvaritamiti jane bhashamane tadhanim chanuram tam karodbhamana vigaladasum potayamasitorvyam pishto bhun mushtiko pidrutamathalina nashtashishtairdhadave. So when this battle is going on, now it really starts like, becoming very strong, right? They're holding each other's hands, locking each other's leg, hitting each other physically because there are no rules, right? So they just keep, with their fists, they keep hitting each other, their head is hitting each other. So when each one is dragging each other, like a wrestling match, it keeps going on and on. So all the people who are there, who are observing this, who were so much in love with these boys who had just come from Madura, from Vrindavan, they keep thinking, the kashtam, it's such an unfortunate situation, that these Chanura and Mushtika are the top wrestlers in the region. And how can they be put to fight with such boys whose body is still so tender, right? So he's less than 12 years old, right? Krishna is less than 12 years old at this time, 11 point something. So he says, when he's so small, how can you put these wrestlers to fight with them? This is just very unfortunate what Kamsa is. They all know about Kamsa. So it says Kamsa is doing, but even the other people who are present there, nobody seems to be stopping, right? So they all are worried that these boys are going to get killed. So they all say that, it's time for us to just go. We don't want to be witnessing all of these things, right? So very similar to the Kali and Ardhanam, if you remember, like I said, when Kali and Ardhanam, Krishna was dancing, he was enjoying the dance on Kaliya. So at some point, he started feeling that Yashoda and others are panicking so much that they would jump into the water, worrying for Krishna. So at that time, he stopped the dance. He made sure Kaliya got under control because he didn't want them to give up their lives or something by worrying about him. Here, similarly, when people were figuring out how do we come to rescue these boys, at that time, Krishna said, okay, enough with all these games, right? It's time to kind of, get rid of Chanura and Mushtika. So with that, Krishna gets rid of Chanura and Balarama gets rid of Mushtika. And the remaining wrestlers who are there, they all just run away out of fear because they saw how strong these two boys are. Ha dhik kashtam kumarau sulalita vapushau, comma, mallavirau kathorau, comma, na drakshyamo vrajamas twaritamiti, comma, jane bhashamane tadanim.
So ராஜேஷ்ஜி அந்த சூலலிதா இல்ல எங்களுக்கு எங்க புக்ல வந்து சலலிதா தான் எழுதி இருக்கு.
Okay, change it to Sulalita. Sulalita.
அப்புறம் ராஜேஷ்ஜி அந்த விரஜாமஹ விசர்கா போட்டு இருக்கு. So change it to second
is change it to is. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the Gayatri and the Lalita is tender. Lalita is tender. Vapusha is body. So Su just means is a prefix to say good. So it's very tender body. So that is Sulalita. Okay.
Sulalita. Okay.
Ha dhik kashtam kumarau sulalita vapushau mallavirau kathorau na drakshyamo vrajamas tvaritamiti jane bhashamane tadanim.
आदिकष्टं कुमारौ सुललितवपुषौ मल्लवीरौ कठोरौ न द्रक्ष्यामो व्रजामस्त्वरितमिति जने भाषमाने तदानीम् आदिकष्टं कुमारौ सुललितवपुषौ मल्लवीरौ कठोरौ न द्रक्ष्यामो व्रजामस्त्वरितमिति जने भाषमाने तदानीम्.
One on the first line, like Kumarau Kapram, I felt like you stopped. It is after Sulalita Vapusha, the pause. In the first line. Okay.
Yes, noted, sir.
Ha dhik kashtam kumarau sulalita vapushau mallavirau kathorau nadrakshyamo vrajamas tvaritamiti jane bhashamane tadanim. Ha dhik kashtam kumarau sulalita vapushau mallavirau kathorau nadrakshyamo vrajamas tvaritamiti jane bhashamane tadanim.
Second line, Vidya, after Twarita Miti, there is a comma there.
Okay.
Chanuram tam karod brahmana vigala dasum, comma, potaya masitor vyam. Cannot break that word, continuous word. Potaya masitor vyam, comma, pishto bhun mushti kopi drutamata halina, comma, nashta shishtair dadhave. Chanuram tam karod brahmana vigala dasum potayamasi thorvyam Pishto bhun mushtikopi drutamata halina nashta shishtair
चाणूरं तं करोत् दसुं पोतयामासितोर्व्यां पिष्टो भून्मुष्टिकोऽपि द्रुतमतः हलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्ददावे चाणूरं तं करोद् ब्राह्मणविकलदसुं पोथयामासितोर्व्यां पिष्टो भून्मुष्टिकोऽपि द्रुतमतः हलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्ददावे
चाणूरं तं ब्राह्मणविगलदसुं पोथयामासिथोर्व्यां पिष्टो भून्मुष्टिकोऽपि धृतमथ हलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्दधावे चाणूरं तं ब्राह्मणविगलदसुं पोथयामासिथोर्व्यां पिष्टो भून्मुष्टिकोऽपि धृतमथ हलिना नष्टशिष्टैर्दधावे.
That's it. Kamsa samvarya turyam kalamati karyamaryan pitrum stanahantum vyaptamurte stavacha samashishad duramutsaranaya prushto dushtokti garuda ivagirim mancha manchan nudanchat khadga vyavalgadus sangrahamapi chahatat pragrahir augrasenim. A tongue twister stanza. So finally, when even Chanura and Mushtika are gotten rid of, then all these Krishna, they're all celebrating. The young boys, right? 11-year-old boys. So they tell all their other, this music going on, because it's a wrestling arena. They tell all the other boys to join them, and they're all like just dancing in the middle there. Kamsa cannot witness all of this because he's like, what is happening here? Right? So like very similar to how the villains do in the movie. So he makes announcement. He says, stop the music, because he's getting irritated with this music and these boys are all dancing for that. So I'm literally telling what it says in Bhagavatam. This is like going to be like a movie. He says, stop the music first, right? Then everybody becomes quiet. Then he issues an order. He says, first thing, drive these boys out of this arena, because he doesn't want them anymore there, because he's worried that he's going to be next. So he tells his soldiers, drive all these boys out of the town and go kill them there, right? Not inside here. I don't even want to see these boys anymore. Number 2, arrest Devaki Vasudeva again, because he had just freed them. He says, arrest his parents again, arrest Nandagopa and all the Gopas who are there, and then arrest his own father Ugrasena, because he says, I'm done with this. I'm not going to be nice to any more person anymore. Arrest everybody who is around me, and I'm just taking over this thing in autocratic rule again, right? He then says that, and he issues that order. But before any of those people could actually do any of those things, remember, Krishna is at the bottom. He's on the wrestling mat. Kamsa is sitting on the dais upstairs. So here, that's why he says, just a Garuda Ivagirim. Just like when an eagle sees a snake somewhere on the top of a tree or top of a mountain, the eagle jumps and goes and grabs that snake, right? So similarly, Krishna, you then jump from where you are. You very quickly jump in and get into the dais where Kamsa is, right? And then you get into directly now fight Kamsa one-on-one. So at that time, Kamsa then takes his sword. That's why the Khadgam is coming. Khadgam is the sword and the shield. So Kamsa takes his sword and the shield and tries to defend himself against him. And he's jumping here and there over that, right? But Krishna then drags him. Anyway, that comes the next one. So, he then essentially comes to jump over there, grabs hold of Kamsa, and Kamsa is trying to defend himself there. Kamsaha putta is Kamsas samvarya turyam, comma, Kala Mati Rabidan Karyam Aryan, breaking a Datma, Karyam Aryan. So the next word, you first put a plus at the end of that line, okay? So the na, if you have na hantum in the next line, right, it becomes, the in will come to the end of the first line. So pitrum stan in, and then ahantum, and then a comma. Okay, so it will read Karyam Aryan Pitrum stan ahantum, comma, Vyapta murtes tava cha samashishad duram utsaranaya. Okay, so first line comma after samvarya turyam, then the rest of the line continues after ahantum, and then comma. Kamsa samvarya turyam khalamati karyam aryan pitram stanahantum vyaptamurte stavacha samashishad duramutsaranaya.
कंसः संवार्य तूर्यं खलमतिरविदन् कार्यमार्यान् पितृंस्तान् आहन्तुं व्याप्तमूर्तेस्तव च समशिषद् दूरमुत्सारणाय कंसः संवार्य तूर्यं खलमतिरविदन् कार्यमार्यान् पितृंस्तान् आहन्तुं व्याप्तमूर्तेस् तव च समशिषद्धूरमुत्सारणाय.
So next two lines are also together, right?
Which one? Like I have only four. Which word specifically? Because I have only 4 lines total.
Eighth shloka, dushto duštokti, that is also together, right? Kamsa is 2 lines and dushto duštokti is the...
No, I'm saying I don't know because we only did till samashishad duramutsaranaya.
Okay. Ugrasena.
No, I think that is no. I think you're going to the next line. No,
Yeah,
just
those 4 lines are together, right? No.
no. So we only did 2 lines, right? Vyapta murte samashisha duram utsaranaya.
Yeah, I'm just checking those 4 lines are together or just separate.
When you say together, what do you mean?
Shloka, like complete shloka.
Yeah, the complete shloka is still 4 lines.
Yeah. Okay. Utsaranaya stops. That is 4 lines.
Utsaranaya is the end of the second line.
Second line. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Comes
I didn't understand your question, but yeah, that is the end of the second line, and then we have 2 more. So we're doing only two lines, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kamsa samvarya turyam khalamiti ravidan karyamaryan pitrunstan ahutam vyaptamurte stavacha samashishadduramutsaranaya.
Second line, first word, ahantum.
Ahantu. Lost the tune. Kamsa samvarya turyam khalamati ravidan karyamaryan pitrunstan ahutam ahantam vyaptamurte stavacha samashishudduramutsaranaya.
I think, just a little bit because that first word is coming as like an extension of the first line. It feels like the tune will go off. That you just say, Kalamati Ravi, then Karyamaryan Pitram Stan Ahantum Vyaptamurte Stavacha Samashishat. Okay, so it will land.
Okay.
Rajesh?
Yeah.
So there is no comma between Pitrunsta and Ahantum, right?
Yeah, that is together. Pitram Stan Ahantum. Yeah, that's where we joined it, yes.
Okay.
Rajesh, sorry, quick question. Pitrastana, Pitrinstana.
It's a double R. Okay, Pitram Stan.
Imvarma.
Pitruக்கு மேல ஒரு im இருக்கு, and then tan is the in that comes at the end of that line from that nahantum if you had it that way.
Okay, yeah. ஆனா in between வந்து பித்ரும்னு வருதா? Sound வந்து பித்ரும்.
Yeah, pitrum.
Okay.
Pitrum stan. Rushto duštokti bhistvam, comma, garuda iva girim mancha manchan. If you have a double n and the u, right? That place I'm just breaking. Mancha manchan udanchat. Put a plus. Khadga vyavalga dusangrahamapi cha hatat. Then a comma. So third line, duštokti bhistvam, comma. Then the whole rest of the third line, rest of the fourth line, till hatat is together. Pragrahir augrasenim. So just breaking at the ra if you want. Pragrahir augrasenim. Rushto duštokti bhistvam garuda ivagirim mancha manchanudanchat khadga vyavalga dusangrahamapi cha hatat pragrahir augrasenim.
रुष्टो दुष्टोक्तिभिस्त्वां गरुड इव गिरिं मञ्चन्नु तञ्च सङ्ग्रहमपि च हठात् प्राग्रहीर् औग्रसेनं रुष्टो
Augrasenim.
सेनिं रुष्टो दुष्टो दुष्टोक्तिभिस्त्वं गरुड इव गिरिं मञ्चन्नु तञ्च घट्कव्यावल्गदुस्सङ्ग्रहमपि च हठात् प्राग्रहीर् औग्रसेनिम्
रुष्टो दुष्टोक्तिभिस्त्वं गरुड इव गिरिं मञ्चन्नुदञ्चत् खड्गव्यावल्गदुस्सङ्ग्रहमपि च हठात् प्राग्रहीर् औग्रसेनिम् रुष्टो दुष्टोक्तिभिस्त्वं गरुड इव गिरिं मञ्चन्नुदञ्चत् खड्गव्यावल्गदुस्सङ्ग्रहमपि च हठात् प्राग्रहीर् औग्रसेनिम्
Stanza 9. Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim bhuvi narapatimapatya tasyoparishta tvayapatye tadaiva tvaduparipatita nakinam pushpavrishtihi kim bhumastadhani satatamopi bhiya tvadgatatma sabheje sayujyam tvadvadotta paramaparamiyam vasana kalane me. So Krishna then Kamsa tries to defend himself, right, with that khadgam, with the sword and the shield and everything. But Krishna then knocks Kamsa. They both jump back into that mat, wrestling area, right, from the dais. He pulls him into the dais, knocks his crown off. And then finally, Krishna then gets over onto Kamsa, right, and then drags Kamsa all over there in front of everybody, and finally gets rid of Kamsa here, Krishna, right, single-handedly. So here, the thing that is being referenced here is Kamsa has always been thinking about this unknown person for him, right? From the time where he was heard by Ashariri Vak that you're going to be killed by the eighth son of Devaki, he's been thinking about this person. And even after then, when he found out that it was Krishna from Narada, then he has been thinking about Krishna. So every time when he's eating, when he's drinking, he's moving, he's sleeping, he's always constantly thinking about Krishna. So at the time, like it says, everything you do in your whole life, right? It only matters for only one thing. Because it says, Ante Narayana Smritihi. When you're dying, at the time of death, what are you thinking about? It says in Gita also, it says in everywhere, Bhagavatam also, it says that's the only thing that matters. Because there are a lot of stories, of Jada Bharata and, a lot of these people, Puranjana, where they all like, depending on what you are thinking, because your life vasanas that you are accumulating your whole life, it all culminates at the time of your death. So whatever you've been doing your whole life is what you're going to think at the time of your death, right? So if you've been very greedy person thinking about money all the time, at the time of death, you'll be worried about what's going to happen to your money, right? Which means that's the next thing you carry on to your next life, that karma. So the end is you have to think about Bhagavan. Now that is not going to come because you have so many other problems in your life, right? But there are few people like Bhishma. When Bhishma was about to die, he waited. He didn't wait because he was waiting for Uttarayana to come. He had a what do you call Ishta, according to his wish, he could depart his soul. But he was not just waiting for Uttarayana because he also knew Krishna was going to come to meet him. So when Bhishma then gave the knowledge to Yudhishthira and then he gave the Sahasranamam, when he passed away, he was looking at Krishna when he passed away. So that's how Bhishma attained liberation. Kamsa is second person like that, who when he's dying, he's looking at Krishna and then passing away, right? So that's why he attains Sayujyam. He then comes and merges into you, because when he is dying, what is Kamsa thinking? He's thinking about Krishna, he's looking at Krishna and then giving up his life, right? And why was Kamsa able to do that? What is the blessing he got because of what? It says in the last thing, Parama Paramiyam Vasana Kalanemehe. It says it's not the first rodeo for Kamsa to be fighting with Bhagavan and dying. He's had several such things in the past. So one of them is when he was actually born as Kalanemi. I don't know if you all remember, but I said it during the Kurma Avataram in Dashakam 29 because I knew it was going to come later. Then after the Kurma Avataram, when the battle was going on and the Devas and Asuras were battling. So in each of them, it says, if you can go check in Dasakam 29, I think 7, stanza 7 or something, it says, Tvam kalane mimita mali mukanja gandha chakro jagana. So that comes where Vishnu is fighting with this asura called as Kalanemi. And that Kalanemi is killed by the Sudarshana Chakram. But he still had some more karma left, because of which he had to be born. So he is again born, but the soul still carries a vasana of hating that Bhagavan. So he's again born as Kamsa, hating Bhagavan here. But again, it doesn't matter if you hate him or you love him or you are friends with him. You just have to have a connection. And he had that connection throughout this life. He says that vasana of Kalanemi was still carrying on to you, O Kamsa. And with that, finally, you attain Sayujyam. You finally attain liberation, because you have no more karma left. It's all just got wiped out with all this contact and thinking about Bhagavan. And finally, he attains liberation here. Little bit more of a backstory of Kamsa that's going to come, which comes in Dashakam 88. So I'll wait till that to tell that story. Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim, comma, bhuvi narapatim apatya. So again, this one also a little bit complicated. You have to put a plus at the end of that first line. And then the second line comes together. Tasyoparishtat, it comes at the end of that line. At least in Sanskrit, the next line beginning has two it. So one of the it will come to the end of the first line. Tasyoparishtat, tvaya patye tadaiva, then a comma. Tvadupari patita nakinam pushpa vrishtihi. Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim bhuvi narapatimapatya tasyoparishta tvaya patye tadaiva tvadupari patita nakinam pushpa vrishtihi.
Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim bhuvi narapatim apatya tasyoparishta tvaya patye tadaiva tvadupari patita nakinam pushpavrishtihi. Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim bhuvi narapatim apatya tasyoparishta tvaya patye tadaiva tvadupari patita nakinam pushpavrishtihi.
Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim bhuvi narapatim apatya tasyoparishtat tvayapatye tadaiva tadupari patita nakinam pushpavrishtihi. Sadhyo nishpishta sandhim bhuvi narapatim apatya tasyoparishtat tvayapatye tadaiva tadupari patita nakinam pushpavrishtihi.
Okay, we'll switch halfway. Madhavi Garu, you can be a student, and Divya, you can be a student. Kim brumas tadanim, comma, satatamapi bhiya tvat gatatma sabheje sayujyam. Again, plus, comma after sayujyam. Bheje sayujyam, comma, tvadvadhotha parama paramiyam vasana kalanemehe. Kim brumhastadhani satatamapi bhiya tvadgatatma sabheje sayujyam tvadvadhota parama paramiyam vasana kalanemehe.
Kim brumastadanim satatamopi bhiyat tvadgatatma sabheje sayujyam tvadvadhota paramiyam vasana kalanemehe. Kim brumastadanim satatamopi bhiyat tvadgatatma sabheje sayujyam Tvatvadodhota paramiyam vasana kalanemehe.
Kim brumastadanim satatamapi bhiya tvadgatatma sabheje sayujyam tvadvadot परमपरमियं वासना कालनेमेः किं ब्रूमस्तदानीं सततमपि भीयात्वद्गतात्मा सबेजे सायुज्यं त्वद्वदोता परमपरमियं वासना कालनेमेः.
That's a 10. तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमतपितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैर्यदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामधानैः भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवम् अमरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपतेरुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्. So with this, you got rid of Kamsa, and Kamsa had several other brothers. They all ran away, you got rid of them. And finally, you released your parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, from all this bondage, all these years of suffering that they have actually undergone with Kamsa. You free them up. And then, and Devaki, Vasudeva, like they're always in the state of mixed feelings, like for them, they know this is Bhagavan, because remember, he first gave the Darshanam with Chaturbhujam to Devaki and Vasudeva, and they can see all these things happening. So they're always in a state of, like a devotion or surrender to Krishna, although Krishna is their son, right? So they're always in this mixed feeling where they have the affection for their son, like any parents would have. At the same time, they're always in the state of awe and worship because they know it is an incarnation of Bhagavan. So they were in that state. You then made all the Yadavas happy because they were all under trouble with Kamsa. You made Ugrasena, Kamsa's father, you made him the king finally. So no longer troubled by his son. And then the other new character is getting introduced here, a person called as Uddhava. This Uddhava is the greatest of the devotee of Krishna, to the extent that when Krishna finally was departing from this earth, when his incarnation had come to an end, he tells Uddhava, he meets Uddhava, right? But Uddhava finally will go tell Krishna at some point, saying that I cannot live in this world without you, Krishna. So if you are going to go away from this earth, when your incarnation is going away, I also want to come with you because I don't see a life without you. But Krishna will specifically request Uddhava, saying, no, I want you to be there for certain reasons, right? And Uddhava remains, which there's a whole backstory around why Uddhava remains. But one of the things is that's when Dwaraka gets flooded, and then the idol that Krishna was worshipping there, he tells Uddhava that idol has to be protected. And that idol is what Uddhava then takes, and then the help with of Guru and Vayu, goes it and place it in Guruvayu, which is the Chaturbhujam idol which is there. So Uddhava is such a great devotee of Krishna. So that Uddhava is getting introduced here, saying you then become friends with Uddhava. And this Uddhava has learned all this from Amara Gurur, from the greatest guru of the gurus, which is from Brihaspati. He has obtained all the knowledge, right? So Uddhava becomes your friend. And then finally, now that Kamsa and everybody is gotten rid of, you all come back to your houses in Mathura. O Guru, please eradicate all my ailments. Tad bhratrun ashta pishtva, drutamata pitarau sannaman ugrasenam. You'll have a double na and a u, but you can break it. Sannaman ugrasenam if you want. Sannaman ugrasenam kritva. Sorry, put a plus at the end of it. Sannaman ugrasenam plus kritva rajanam uchair yadukulam akhilam, or yadukulam akhilam, modayan kamadanaihi. So first line after pishtva, a comma, and the whole first line, second line together. Then after yadukulam akhilam, modayan kamadanaihi. Tadbhratrunashta pishtva drutamata pitarau sannamannugrasenam kritva rajanamuchair yadukulam akhilam modayan kamadhanaihi.
तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमथ पितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैर्यदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा द्रुतमथ पितरौ सन्नमन्नुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैर्यदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः
तद्भ्रातॄनष्टपिष्ट्वा धृतमथ पितरौ सन्नमनुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानमुच्चैः यदुकुलमखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः.
Divya, the second line, like if you have Rajanam Uchaihi Visarga, then put a ir to join it. Rajanam Uchair Yedukulam Akilam.
Okay. तद्भ्रातॄन्नष्टपिष्ट्वा धृतमतपितरौ सन्नमनुग्रसेनं कृत्वा राजानम् उच्चैर्यदुकुलम् अखिलं मोदयन् कामदानैः.
Again, that Rajanam Uchair ir, not Uchaihi.
Rajanam Uchchaihir, no?
No. Uchair.
Oh, the he will go away as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Visarga will go away. Uchair Yedukulam Akilam.
Okay.
Rajesh, Sannamannugrasenam Kritva, அது ஒரு வேர்டா?
ஆமா, அந்த ஒரு வேர்ட் அல்ல, two different words, but it is connected. So Sannaman Ugrasenam Kritva Rajanam Uchair Yedukulam Akilam.
அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் காமா.
ஆமா, அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் காமா. It's just like it's a continuation of the sentence. Okay. Bhaktanam Uttamam Chodhavam, breaking at that ma, Chodhavam Amara Guror, breaking at that ra, it will be easy then. Amara Guror Aptanitim. So the ra which is breaking ir and a. Amara Guror Aptanitim Sakhayam plus again Labdhva. Okay, so the whole third line goes continuous and after Labdhva. Labdhva is to attain. Sakhayam is friend. So attaining him as a friend. That's why we're stretching that and putting a comma after Labdhva. Tushto Nagaryam, comma. Pavana Purapate Rundhi Me Sarva Rogan. Bhaktanam Uttamam Chodhavam Amara Guror Aptanithim Sakhayam Labdhva Tushto Nagaryam Pavana Purapate Rundhi Me Sarva Rogan.
भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवममरगुरोर् आप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपते रुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्. भक्तानामुत्तमं चोद्धवममरगुरोर् आप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपते रुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्.
भक्तानाम् उत्तमं चोदवम् अमरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपते रुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्. भक्तानाम् उत्तमं चोदवम् अमरगुरोराप्तनीतिं सखायं लब्ध्वा तुष्टो नगर्यां पवनपुरपते रुन्धि मे सर्वरोगान्.
Divya, on the fourth line and the third line mudicha Sakhayam Labdhva, comma, and then Tushto Nagaryam, comma. Okay. Just two pause there. Okay. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Okay, 76 is another beautiful Dashakam. It's Uddhava Dutya Varnana. Uddhava going as a messenger. So that's 76. Stanza 1. Gatva Sandhi Panimata Chatushashti Matrairaho Bihi Sarvajnastvam Sahamusalina Sarva Vidyam Grihitva Putram Nashtam Yamanilayanad Ahritam Dakshinartam Datva Tasmai Nijapuramaghaha Nadayan Panchajanyam. So that chapter is over, right? Kamsa is gotten rid of. Krishna, he remains there in Mathura with his parents. No, of course, Ugrasena is established as the king. Now, Krishna, when he was with Nanda Gopa, right, they are a Vaishya, right, which means they are merchants. They all are merchants, right? So at that time, he never had to go to school because, he has his family business, right? He doesn't have to go to school. His father is a rich person. He has a family business of, milk and cow and all this stuff. So he never went to school. They never cared about sending him to school. But now he has come over to Madura and they realize that you are a Kshatriya. If you are a Kshatriya, then you become a prince and a king at some point, which means you need to have all the knowledge. You need to have administrative knowledge, you need to have war knowledge, you need to have financial knowledge. So you kind of have to do like an MBA kind of equivalent. You have to study everything, right? So his parents realize that you're 12 years old, you never attended school, so he says that doesn't make sense. So they said, okay, time for Krishna and Balarama to go to a Gurukulam. So they go to this ashramam of Sandipani. So Sandipani is a Maharishi. So in whose ashramam they all go. So they went, and then they have Tamil, they have a stage saying which is Ayakalai Aruvatinalu. They say 64 types of things are there to learn. That way, Chatushashti, 64. So 64 streams or disciplines are there, right? You can pick whichever discipline you want. So Krishna says, I'm confused, like our kids, right? They go in with signing with one thing and they come out with some other stream. Krishna says, I'm also confused. I'm going to do all 64, right? So that way I don't have to worry about which one. So see, you do all the 64 streams in 64 days, right? When you are 12 years old, and then you finish it off with Sandipani. That's where he meets Sudama, his friend, who is later going to be called as Kuchela, right? So they all meet at the Sandipani ashrama. So Krishna goes, he finishes all those things in 64 days. So he's done now, right? So he says, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go back to Madura. I don't want to be in school anymore. So he says to Sandipani, I need to give you some Guru Dakshina, right? What can I give you as Guru Dakshina? So Sandipani says, you're an exemplary student, right? So I don't even feel like taking any Dakshina from you. But Sandipani's wife says, I need a help from you. He says, our child got stolen or abducted by an Asura called a Shankasura. So we don't know where he is. He's probably somewhere in the Arabian Sea, right? So he says, I need you to go and get that son back for me. That is the Guru Dakshina I want. So Krishna and Balarama then end up going, right? It says they go to near the Somnath temple, where current Somnath temple is Prabhasa, in that area, which is on the coast of Arabian Sea. And in that Arabian Sea, at the bottom of that ocean, there was an Asura called a Shankasura, because he was in the shape of a conch, or he had a vehicle which was in the shape of a conch, one of those things, right? And he had abducted the Sandipani, his son. So Krishna then goes in, he fights with that Asura, and then gets back that son of Sandipani as back to him. Again, this is going to get referenced again in Dashakam 88, when we're going to talk about Santana Gopalo Pakhyanam. So at the time, Devaki will say, you got your Guru's son back, but I lost 6 children, right? Why couldn't you get my 6 children back? I'll answer the question at that time. But anyway, so he goes and he gets his Guru's son back, rescues the son. Now, every time when Bhagavan comes, his extensions also come along with him. Like Balarama is Adishesha. So Adishesha was already there. Then, later on, Krishna is going to have his Sudarshana Chakram. He's never had to use his Sudarshana Chakram so far in Krishna Avatar, but later on he will use it. So similarly, his Panchajanyam is the conch of Krishna. So along with this, when he rescues that son, the Panchajanyam, who was also incarnated at that time, and along with the Shankachuda demon, Krishna then gets it back and comes and gives the son over to Sandipani. Sandipani is Guru, and then Krishna is then finally done with the schooling, and then he comes back to Madura. Gatva Sandipani Mata, Chatush Shashti Matrairahobihi, Sarvajnastvam Saha Musalina, Sarva Vidyam Grihitva. In case you have Vidya only, put a in there. Sarva Vidyam Grihitva. Putram Nashtam, Yama Nilayanadahritam Dakshinartham, Dattva Tasmai Nija Puramagaha, add a Visargan, Nija Puramagaha, Nadayan Panchajanyam. Gatva Sandhipanimata Chatushashti Matrairahobihi Sarvajnastvam Sahamusalina Sarva Vidyam Grihitva Putram Nashtam Yamanilayanadahritam Dakshinartam Dattva Tasmai Nijapuramagaha Nadayan Panchajanyam.
ராஜேஷ்ஜி அந்த லாஸ்ட் லைன்ல புறமகாஹா போட்டுட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் அங்க காமாவா?
ஆமா, comma. Because you're putting the comma, Visarga will get added there.
गत्वा सान्दीपनिमथ चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयनादाहृतं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम् गत्वा सान्दीपनिमथ चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिराहृतं दक्षिणार्धं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम्
गत्वा सान्दीपनिमत अहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयनाद् आहृतं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम्.
Divya, the third line la mattum putram nashtam and then comma after that. Okay, the third line.
Putram nashtam.
Yeah, and then a comma. Yeah.
Okay. गत्वा सान्दीपनिमत चतुष्षष्टिमात्रैरहोभिः सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सह मुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वा पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयनात् आहृतं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरम् अगाः नादयान् पाञ्चजन्यम्.
Nadayan and the last word. Nadayan.
Nadayan.
Answer.
Rajeshji, Nijapura Magaha or Magaha?
Nijapura Magaha.
Magaha. Okay.
It's Puram Agaha. If you want to break it, but you can say it together. Puram Agaha. Answer 2. Smritva Pashupasudrushaha Prema Bhara Pranunnaha Karunyena Tomapi Vibashaha Prahinor Uddhavam Tam Kinchamushmai Paramasuhrude Bhaktavaryayata Bhaktudrekam Sakala Bhuvane Durlabham Darshayishyan. So this Uddhava, who we saw in the end of the 75th Dasakam, right? So who then becomes a very close friend of Krishna and becomes a great devotee and a close friend, both together, right? So like we know here, we see, right, when, you go to, so like when I was growing up, I had a small cousin who used to love Rajnikant so much that he used to always want to dress up like Rajnikant. He used to do styles like Rajnikant. He used to flip the glasses and everything. He used to be like that, right? So this Uddhava, to some extent, becomes like that. He's just so attached to Krishna. He's always with Krishna every single moment that he starts dressing up like Krishna. He starts behaving like Krishna. And that will happen, right? If you go to Las Vegas, you see all these Elvis impersonators, right? So they all dress like Elvis, they behave like Elvis, they talk like Elvis. And when you keep doing it for a really long time, you start believing you are Elvis, right? Because that's how you're living your life. And this Uddhava is always next to Krishna. Right? So what he does is he begins whatever way Krishna dresses, Uddhava dresses the same way. However Krishna talks, Uddhava starts replicating it. So he just becomes extremely close to Krishna, and he now, at some point, Uddhava also begins to feel like he's also like Krishna. He comes to that state. Now, this Uddhava, like I said, is learned from Brihaspati, right? So he's got all this knowledge. One day Uddhava is telling Krishna, like I have learned all of these things from Brihaspati, right? I've learned all these Vedas, I've learned the Upanishads, I've learned the Sutras, but I'm somehow not become Maharishi yet. Why am I not given the title of a Maharishi like Brihaspati and everybody else, right? He says, I am so devoted, I'm doing all these right things. I think I am the greatest of the devotees. See, pride cannot come in anything. We already saw with the Gopikas also, right? In Dashakam 66, 67, when the Gopikas got pride that Krishna loves me more, Krishna walked away from them. right? So similarly here, Uddhava is having a pride, saying that I am the greatest devotee of Krishna. I am knowledgeable in everything. I think I am the most super person, right, when it comes to devotion and knowledge. At the same time is passing, right? These Gopikas and everybody in Vrindavan have not heard from Krishna at all. Krishna has never gone back to Vrindavan after that. So they all are smritva, smritva. They all keep thinking about you, O Krishna, and they're all worried. So Krishna is like, okay, I need to send somebody there. I don't want to go there. I'm going to send Uddhava there, right? Because it's a lesson for Uddhava here. So he tells Uddhava, I need you to go over to Vrindavan. I'm not able to go because I'm busy with other administrative stuff. You go to Vrindavan and I'm going to tell you a message, right? You go give this message to the Gopikas because I know they are constantly thinking about me and somebody has to go calm them. If I go, things will become worse. Then they will get even more upset and I can't come back again, right? He says, instead, Uddhava, you go. And then Krishna sends a message to the Gopikas through Uddhava here. Smritva smritva pashupa sudrushaha, comma, prema bhara pranunnaha, comma, karunyena twamapi vivashaha, comma, prahinor uddhavam tam. I'm just breaking that ru into ir and u. Prahinor uddhavam tam. Kincha mushmai parama suhrude bhakta varyaya tasam, comma, bhaktudrekam sakala bhuvane durlabham darshayishyan. Uddhava was such a devotee that kind of a devotee you cannot find anywhere. Durlabham, you cannot find such a devotee. He was so devoted and dedicated to Krishna. Smritva smritva pashupasudrushaha prema bhara pranunnaha karunyena twamapi vivashaha prahinor uddhavam tam kinchamushmai paramasuhrude bhaktavaryaya tasam bhaktyutrekam sakala bhuvane durlabham darshayishyan.
स्मृत्वा स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः परप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवशः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तं किं चामुष्मै परमसुहृदे भक्तवर्याय तासा भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन् स्मृत्वा स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः प्रेमभारप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवशः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तं किं चामुष्मै परमसुहृदे भक्तवर्याय तासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन्.
Rajesh, in the last line, is there a comma after Sagala Bhuvane?
No, the third line, which is Bhakta Varyaya Tasam, that is also continuous. Third and fourth lines are continuous, no pause in between. This end of the line, there is a comma.
Thank you.
Smritva smritva pasudrishah prema bhara pranunnaha karunyena tvamapi vivashah prahinोरुद्धवं तं किञ्चामुष्मै parama suhrade bhaktavaryaय तासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन् स्मृत्वा स्मृत्वा पशुपसदृशः प्रेमभाराप्रणुन्नाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवशः प्राहिणोरुद्धवं तं किञ्चामुष्मै परमसुहृदे भक्तवर्याय तासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दाशयिष्यन्.
Darshayishyan. Answer 3. Tvanmahatmya pratima pishunam gokulam prapya sahyam twadvartabhir bahusaramayamasa nandam yashodham pratar drishtva manimayaratham shankitah pankajakshyah shrutva praptam bhavadanucharam tyaktakarya samhiyuhu. So Krishna says, just go there. Uddhava was like, sure, because he religiously follows whatever Krishna says. So he says, okay, I will go, I will take your message, right? Because I am so knowledgeable about these things. And the message, whatever Krishna wants to relay, is Uddhava's strength, which is to talk about Brahman, to talk about, all this, the supreme truth and the supreme knowledge, which Uddhava anyway knows very well. So he says, okay, I'll go convey those message. So Uddhava reaches there, as the sun was setting, he reaches Nandagopa's house, and, the chariot has come there. Now he goes, he meets with Nanda, Yashoda, everything, and Nanda is asking about, Krishna. He says he never calls or he never comes, right? He never comes home. He's gone here for so long, and he's asking how is Krishna doing and all that. And they all keep recounting about all the things that Krishna was doing. He says the next morning, right? People come to know that there is a chariot outside Nandagopa's house. So naturally, I was like, oh, we know the chariot. There was a chariot that came. Akrura came. He came and took Krishna and Balarama. Probably Akrura has come and he has brought Krishna and Balarama back, right? So all these gopikas, they abandon the moment they come to know about a chariot has come to Nandagopa's house. They immediately leave everything. They all come over to Nandagopa's house. Twan Mahatmya Pratima Pishunam, Gokulam Prapya Sayam, Tvad Vartabhir Bahu Sa Ramayamasa Nandam Yashodam Prata Drishtva Manimaya Ratham, chariot which is studded with jewels. So it's just a very expensive chariot. So they know it is not a normal person's chariot. Manimaya Ratham, Shankitaha, put a F, Shankitah Pankajakshyah, Shrutva Praptam Bhavadanucharam, Tyakta Karyaha, put a is to join, Tyakta Karya Samiyuhu. Twan Mahatmya Pratima Pishunam Gokulam Prapya Sahyam Twadvartabhir Bahusa Ramayamasa Nandam Yashodham Pratar Drishtva Manimaya Ratham Shankitah Pankajakshyah Shrutva Praptam Bhavadanucharam Tyakta Karya Samiyuhu.
त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिमपिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमया मासनन्दं यशोदां प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्ष्यः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्या समीयुः त्वन्माहात्म्यप्रतिमपिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ता बहुसरमया मासनन्दं यशोदां प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्ष्यः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्या समीयुः.
ராஜேஷ் அந்த துவத்வார்த்தா அந்த லைன் மட்டும் ஒரு வாட்டி சொல்றீங்களா?
Yeah. Twadvartabhir Bahu Sa Ramayamasa Nandam Yashoda. In case you all have Twadvartabihi, then just put an ir to join that word.
And that whole line doesn't have a comma.
That continues. Yeah, that line doesn't have a comma.
त्वन्माहात्म्य प्रतिमपिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमया मासनन्दं यशोदं प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयर्तं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्ष्यः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्या समीयुः.
Second line, last word, Yashodam.
Yashodam. Okay. त्वन्माहात्म्या प्रतिमपिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं त्वद्वार्ताभिर्बहुसरमया मासनन्दं यशोदां प्रातर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं शङ्किताः पङ्कजाक्षयः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्यक्तकार्या समीयुः.
Third line, last word, Pankajakshyah.
Pankajakshayah.
No, you're saying Jaksha. It's ik should be. Pankajakshah.
Pankajyakshayah.
I'll type English type pandren. I think it's Pankajakshah. Just Jakshyah, not Jakshayah.
Oh, inga appadi potruk. Okay, Pankajakshya. Okay, I'll look at your.
Okay, yeah, just iksh, not a full ksha.
Okay.
Okay, stanza 4. I'll quickly run through stanza 4 and then we'll finish that today. So, when these Gopikas come there, they come there to Nandagopa's house and they suddenly see somebody who's exactly like Krishna. He's wearing clothes like Krishna, he's having ornaments decked like Krishna, and they're like, okay, his arms, everything, he looks exactly like Krishna. So they're wondering, who is this person who's looking exactly like Krishna, but Krishna is not here. So they all ask him, like, who are you? Where have you come from? Like, you look like you're wearing Krishna's clothes, right? You're wearing a decked up like Krishna. Yeah, of course, Uddhava is older. And then, they keep wondering about that. Then Uddhava then says, look, I'm Krishna's friend. I've actually come from Mathura there and I've come bearing some news from Krishna, right? And he just tells Krishna is there, Kamsa is gotten rid of, Krishna is busy with all of those things, right? But so these Gopikas, the moment they see him, they are again reminded of Krishna again. And, they keep, she says beautifully that they are not able to, words are not coming, they're choking, because they are not able to even talk with him properly. And typically, because they are still in a village and all those days, there is certain etiquette and protocol of how women may talk to a stranger who they don't know, right? But these Gopikas don't care about any of those etiquette for them. They want to know, how is Krishna doing? Why did Krishna not come, right? And what is the message he has actually sent? So they start asking him all of those questions. Drishtva chainam twadupama lasat vesha bhushabhiramam. That line is continuous, comma at the end. Smritva tava vilasitan yuchakais. One word. Vilasitan yuchakais tani. Just fine. We just do it in the next class. I don't think we'll have time to go over the 4 lines. So we'll do it. We'll continue this in the next class. Okay. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtavatre punarurupurushartatmakam brahmatattvam tattavadbhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam kahena vacha manasendriyerva बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a good
Thank you.
weekend,
Thank you,
everybody.
Rajesh ji.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye, everyone. Bye.